Hi everyone, this is Mr. Junkert, and today I am going to discuss to you about reading passage. This is in preparation for your IPSLE oral examination. Are you ready? Here it is. So as you can see on my screen, I have here IPSLE oral examination. For oral examination, it is composed of two essential parts. We have reading passage for 10 marks, and we also have stimulus-based conversation for another 10 marks. For today's sharing, I will only be focusing on reading passage. Here are the guidelines if you want to achieve a better score in your IPSLE oral exam. Reading aloud. Number 1. Read with good pronunciation, clear articulation, and appropriate intonation in order to convey the information, ideas, and feelings in a passage. So let's start with good pronunciation. For good pronunciation, it means that our examiner should be able to understand what we are talking about or what we are reading about. We have the tendency to eat the words when we are reading. In that case, our examiner will never understand what we are reading, so there is a possibility that the examiner will give us a low score. So make sure that you have a very neutral accent and that everybody could understand what you are reading all about. Next is clear articulation. When we talk about articulation, we're talking about sound. In our past lesson in English, we learned about a sound, ba, k, da. We also have the th sound or the th, and ch sound or the k or ch, which is charity, and other sounds that we learned. So now we should be able to clearly sound each word so that our examiner would understand what we are reading. Lastly is our proper intonation, or what we call the rise and fall of the voice. When we are reading our sentences, we should be able to identify when are we going to use the rising intonation and the falling intonation as well. Now let us move on to our last and final guideline. To produce a well-paced, fluent reading of a passage. Well-paced means our punctuation. For punctuation, let's start with full stop. Be sure that you know that in a paragraph, if the sentence is ending, we should stop. Next is comma. For comma in a particular sentence, sometimes we could see comma. Make sure that we know that if we see comma, we need to pause. Lastly is our quotation mark. For a quotation mark, we need to pause as well. For a quotation mark also, we are talking about dialogue. If the dialogue asks us to be happy, then we should be reading the sentence happily. If the dialogue asks us to be sad, then we should be reading the sentence sad as well. We should know what kind of emotion are we going to put in a particular dialogue. So now let's have the reading passage. Are you ready? You can actually read with me. Yesterday, my mother and I witnessed an accident on our way to the hawker center. An old lady was walking along the road when a boy on a skateboard collided with her. As she lay on the ground stunned, he sped away with his friend. "How awful and irresponsible of the boy! Go after him and tell him to apologize to her," exclaimed my mother as she hurried forward to help the old lady up. When I shouted at the boy and told him to return, he stopped, got off his skateboard, and walked back. By then, the old lady was back on her feet. Luckily, she wasn't hurt, although she looked quite pale. "I am sorry," apologized the boy meekly. The old lady reminded him to look out for other people in the future and that sometimes it would be better to stop skateboarding and walk instead when there were many pedestrians on the pavement. The boy nodded sheepishly and left. My mother and I helped the old lady home before returning to the hawker center for lunch. I hope that you learned something today. That's all for now. Goodbye.